In CNBC contributor, Senior Associate Dean for Leadership Studies at the Yale School of Management, Jeffrey Sonnenfeld. It's good to have you join us. I'm curious your reaction first and foremost to both of these posts today.
Well, Scott, thanks a lot. Obviously, it's tough keeping up with the headlines that come out of Washington and the ripple effect, and the impact on Wall Street and elsewhere is enormous. I have to say that while I'm getting a lot of alarmist feedback coming in from emails of CEOs, before I tell you some of the horrifying things they had to say, the positive side on this is that he's addressing domestic issues on these fronts in ways, certainly on the housing front, as Eamon was just discussing, where he's being criticized on getting caught up in the Caribbean and elsewhere in Greenland and saying, well, how about the cost of housing and domestic issues and all these affordability issues? I will say that Bill Pulte, who's a controversial figure, has been meeting individually with each of the major home builders. He and Howard Lutnick, Secretary of Commerce, of course, have had very constructive private meetings. I don't think they haven't met as a group, but they meet one-on-one. And they all tell me they haven't felt coerced. I should tell you, I'm on the board of Lennar, so if there's, not that there's any conflict there, but I am involved with the housing industry. At some of these proposals, it's almost where left meets right, that there have been issues that, as Eamon says, that both parties have talked about, having to do with young home builders and the mortgage prices and a way of somehow eating those costs. There also have been some real concerns just about, soaking up. And Invitation Homes is no longer owned by Blackstone. I think they had it for about 5 years, maybe. I think 2012 to maybe 2019 they disposed of it, but they have a big exposure elsewhere.
Sure.
But these are realistic concerns. But Morgan was getting to on the defense side. I'm getting more hostile blowback from CEOs there. The people that you and I and many of your listeners are very familiar with. One of them has just said, this is where MAGA has gone Maoist. He's a little upset about this being like state capitalism. Well, defense contractors have gotten lots of initiatives in Washington. Even the late Ash Carter was very concerned about concentration in the industry as a Democrat. And right now, of course, this is such a strong industry. I could go on at length. I thought Morgan raised some very good points about how you define it.
Let me jump in. Let me jump in because he, the president, may very well be targeting, kitchen table issues that matter to people. Obviously, affordability of homes and other things, but he's doing it arguably by wrecking something that has been so sacrosanct in this country, and that has been the independence of business, that enterprise could make its own decisions on how it thought best to use its capital. And now that seems to have completely changed, as Tom Lee was just suggesting before he left our set, quote, Washington picks winners and losers now.
This is the concern, especially our housing industry has had a lot of fluctuations and cyclicality, but it's still a bedrock industry. It is so much of a fundamental thermometer for the economy. When you get to defense, that's such a vital industry for us. But the two of them together, with the concerns, of course, government forcing stakes, whether or not it's on the percentage of business that's done in China for NVIDIA or AMD having to take anywhere from 10 to 25% stakes, or the stakes, in terms of the profits, but also the forced ownership stakes, anything from Intel to U.S. Steel. People have been pretty upset about that, as that is not Ayn Rand. That's not Friedrich Hayek. That's not Milton Friedman. The people who are these classic, I think, celebrants of conventional laissez-faire economics. This is a blending of an economy that is not conservative economics, and it's a lot more leftist than it is anything else. The central planning. It's ironic. I'm trying to police myself from doing this. I have a new book coming out. This actually won't be out for another 2 months, so you're safe. But it's on Trump's 10 Commandments. And we go through it's not criticizing him, it's not celebrating him, but what are the tools he uses? And we see several of them in there. One of them is a hub and spoke system. Everything's centralized around this. One thing you see for sure here is these are all coming from him, from his head, and he's right in the middle of it. It's a hub and spoke, kind of like a tribal leadership.